Carmelites, and then they rebuilt this place in 1828, and it's been like rebuilt a little bit since then, but it's been around for a long time. But this place is important to us because of what happened in 1 Kings chapter 18. It was during the reign of Ahab. Ahab was kind of like a Herod the Great too. Ahab built a lot of things. Usually we only know of Ahab because of who Ahab was married to. What was her name?
Jezebel.
Jezebel. We're going to learn a little bit about Jezebel. But he was the seventh king of the northern kingdom. Remember the kingdom split. Over taxes, of course. That's why we split. But it split. The 10 tribes went to the north, and they went and did their own thing. And then Ahab was the seventh king of the northern kingdom. And according to 1 Kings 16, it says that Ahab did more to provoke the Lord to anger than all the kings of Israel who were before him. And there were a lot of bad kings before Ahab. Mm-hmm. Every single king of the northern kingdom, it said, and he did evil in the sight of the Lord. For every single one in the northern kingdom. And a lot of them even before that. Ahab took a wife of a Sidonian princess. Her name was? Jezebel. Elijah came to Ahab and declared that Yahweh was going to bring the land into a terrible drought, one that would not end until Elijah declared it. So he said, listen, it's going to be bad here, and it's going to stay that way till I say so. Basically till the Lord tells me to say so. So why was God so displeased with Ahab? Because first Ahab built pagan altars. And interestingly, we are going to see with our own eyes one of those altars that he built. So when the northern kingdom split, the first king, was it Jeroboam? Yeah, the northern kingdom, he said, we don't want our people going to Jerusalem to worship, so we're going to create places here. They did one in Bethel, then one up in Dan, for them to worship, and they erected an altar with a cow, and they said, this is the God who brought you out of Egypt, and people believed it, and they worshiped there. So they haven't uncovered the one in Bethel. They don't know where that is. Maybe they do. They just haven't told us. But the one in Dan's uncovered. We're going to see it. We're going to see the original foundation of this temple laid by Jeroboam, and then we're going to see when it was rebuilt by Ahab. So we actually will see that. We'll stop there. David's going to do a teaching there. There's really big acorns. So, I mean, it's a really cool place. So the second reason God was so displeased, not just all the pagan altars that he built, but it's because of the religious persecution that his wife brought upon the prophets of God. She brought with her over 800, actually it was 850 pagan prophets and priests, 400 to Baal, 450 Asherah. And because of her persecution upon the prophets, there was a man who served in Ahab's house. And he was kind of like, the guy who was in charge of the household. His name was Obadiah. And he, even though he was working for Ahab and working for his household, he began to hide away the prophets, from Jezebel. So in groups of 50, he would hide them in a cave, and he'd make sure they got food and water. And so Obadiah was a pretty significant guy. And he feared the Lord, even though he worked for Ahab and Jezebel. So in 1 Kings 18, Ahab said, we need to find some grass for our cattle. So Obadiah, you go one way and I'll go the other. So Obadiah is out looking for land because it's so dry because of the drought. And he runs into Elijah. And we get the account in 1 Kings 18, 17 through 19. It says, when Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, that comes later. I'm already jumping ahead of my house. So I'm jumping ahead of myself, but that's what comes in a little bit. So he runs into him, and Elijah says, Obadiah, go get Ahab and bring him to me. He says, oh, no, because I'll do that. I'll bring him here. You won't be here, and he'll kill me. And he goes, no, I'll really be here. So after much convincing, he does. He brings Elijah, and then this is the encounter with Elijah and Ahab. 1 Kings 18, 17 through 19. When Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, is it you troubler of Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you have. I love this almost, I'm not the troublemaker, you are. They're kind of a little back and forth here. It says, and your father's house, because you have abandoned the commandments of the Lord and followed the Baals. Now therefore send and gather all Israel to me at Mount Carmel, and the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, I had that the other way around, who eat at Jezebel's table. I want all of them to come here for a smackdown. You know, it was pay-per-view. It was big time. Here, because this was a big time, significant, holy place for pagan worship, all the way back to the Egyptians. So this place was significant. So he's laying a challenge. One prophet plus Yahweh against these over 800 pagan prophets. And so he's laying a challenge. And Jezebel and Ahab, and they're all probably thinking, well, this is a pretty good deal for us. You know, the odds are really good for us. So Ahab sent out word to all the people of Israel. He wanted an audience. So we're on a mountain. So looking down the mountain in the different directions, as he goes that way and this way, all these people are coming to see what was happening. All these people of Israel. So there's a lot of people here for this event. Thousands of onlooking Israelites, and definitely enough people present to easily, because later on we see Elijah says, take possession of these prophets and bring them down to the brook of Kidron, and then it says he killed them all. Definitely there were enough people here to overpower these prophets and bring them to that place. Because you may have wondered, how did one man kill 850 prophets? Well, he had a lot of help. Because a whole bunch of people were just convinced that something amazing happened. So here's how it went down. Chapter 18, verse 21, the people of Israel were given a challenge. Elijah came near to all the people. So they had all come. They're like, we're just here to watch the show. Suddenly, Elijah is now talking to the people. He's not talking to the prophets of Baal or to Ahab or anyone. He's talking to the people of Israel who came together. And Elijah came near to all the people and said, how long will you go limping between two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people did not answer him a word, because the people are like, well, we'll see how this goes. You know, then we'll decide what opinion we will limp after. So 2 sacrifices were laid out. So they had to create an altar, one for each side. And a bull was laid upon the wood for the prophets of Baal. And a bull was laid upon the wood for Yahweh, for one prophet plus Yahweh. So no fire was lit, but instead Elijah's challenge was this, in 1 Kings 18:24. And you guys, you prophets of Baal, call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord God, and the God who answers by fire, he is God. And all the people answered, it is well spoken. So the prophets of Baal, they worship Baal. Baal was apparently the son of another god, but he was the one who was all powerful and ruled. And according to their traditions and beliefs, you know, Baal was the one who always beat out all the other gods to be the leader. So he was the most powerful god. You know, he was the one who rode upon the clouds and thunder. That's what they always said about Baal, that he was so powerful. And so this most powerful god that they worshiped, they cried out, they outdid themselves in devotion and in demonstration. And even as Elijah mocked them, and their God did nothing happen. He even mocked them. You know, they're crying out, they're cutting themselves, they're screaming, and this went on and on and on for quite some time. And I could see Elijah just kind of walking around. Well, how's it going? You know, yeah, I see you're cutting yourself. You know, maybe your God is sleeping. You know, what's the matter? So he's mocking them, and probably having a good time. You know, this is not the Elijah who later on is going to be scared because Jezebel's looking for him. So then Elijah took his turn, and he called the people coming close. So, all right, all you people, you're bored because this has been going on for a long time. Nothing's happening. Now, stop. Come in close. So they did what Moshe does. He goes, look at me. And he called them in close. And he had his altar, and he used 12 stones, reminding the divided nation that God intended the nation to be as one. He used 12 stones, and that meant something. And this is who Israel really was. Not divided, but according to God, united. So he built this altar Then he asked the witnesses, listen, let's pour some water over all this wood. This wood's too dry. And so they did that 3 times, so like water was just pouring out of the altar, soaking wet. If you've ever gone camping with rain, you know how hard it is to light a fire. You just give up and go to bed early. This was soaking wet. Then he asked the witnesses to pour the water, and it was drenched. And the people looking on said, this guy is crazy. Nothing's going to happen here today. Nothing happened with the Baals. Nothing is going to happen with Elijah. You know, Ahab's just going to kill him, and we're all going to go home, and we're just going to chalk this up as just wasted time. So the people looked on, and you know what happened? Verse 36 through 39. And at the time of the offering of the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. He reminded them who they were. You know, lots of times when you hear people pray in the Old Testament, they're praying to God, but they pray with the intent of people listening on, like the high priestly prayer of Jesus. He was speaking to God, but he wanted everyone to hear what he was saying. So in his prayer, he's reminding them who they are. And let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust. Wow, I never really thought about that. You know, you always think about the fire consuming the wood and the offering, but it consumed the stones. It consumed the dirt, licked up the water and that was in the trench, and then all the people saw it, and they fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, that is Yahweh, He is God. The Lord, Yahweh, He is God. They said it multiple times. Elijah said it multiple times. He wanted them to know who he was talking about, because their king from 7 kings before said, you know, come worship this cow because this is the God that brought you out of Egypt. Elijah is now reminding them who the real God who brought them out of Egypt is.
Just a bird.
Just a bird.
Yeah, that is too cold for
You have a hat
snakes.
on.
So the prophets of Baal were gathered up by the people. Elijah killed them all at the brook of Kidron. A lot of work there. Rain followed. You know, they came up here on the mountain, and there was a conversation between Elijah and Ahab. Ahab went back home. Jezebel did not take it lightly. She wasn't here, apparently. Apparently she was at home waiting for news. Waiting for good news. You know, waiting for the victory. She said, this is a sure win. I'm not going. So the hardships didn't end there. You know, rain did come. They looked out. They saw it. It came. But the hardships didn't end there. Ahab showed a couple short displays of humility, but no real repentance. Jezebel continued to do wicked things, and the people were impacted. The leadership remained corrupt, but the people witnessed a great work, and it happened in this place. God said, listen, this mountain that has been pagan for centuries, I'm going to show them who the real God is. And it was displayed right here. So let's follow our guide now and head up and take a look from the balcony.
In Israel, you know what's our national sport? Come, lady.
Football.
Come. You know what's our national sport? Gossip. Now, let me tell you something. I want you to hear the small talks in the people. Don't think that everybody's like waiting in there. No, what is he doing? He will not able to do it. He pours water. He's out of his mind. He's going to be killed. You hear the small talks? Think about it. Now, where did it happen? According to what we believe, remember it's not 100%, we found a place which has a source of water. And we even found the remains of an ancient altar. I'm not telling you Elijah, I'm not saying for sure, but I'm telling you what we found. You know, you want to know where it is? Look down there. Right there. Where you see this shack. You see the shack right there? Yeah. That is a spring because we put a pump over the water. In other words, and where did he do it? Look at this little hill, which is not as hilly. It's very small. You can accommodate people. You stand there. can accommodate a lot of people. More so, what is Elijah doing later after he's done? He's telling them, chase those bad guys to the brook Kishon. People, this path leads to the brook Kishon, and I will show you the brook Kishon. So you're wondering, so what's here? First of all, the church wants to build a building on the top of a hill.
Right.
But also, when you remember the story, something happened later. He is sending his boy to do what? Tell me if you see a cloud coming from where? From where? The sea. Where is the sea? Look at the chimney of Caesarea.
That way.
Right there. People, look at me. That way. Caesarea is that way. The sea is that way. Ladies and gentlemen, only from here you can see the sea.
Yes.
From down there you can't see the sea. So what do you believe happened? Again, can't tell you 100%. The boy came all the way here, and only from here you can see the sea. So the accommodation of the people and the whole miracle, the whole thing took place down there. From here, the boy came to this place so he can look at the sea, and the rest of the story you know. There was a cloud the size of the fist of a person, and then the rain came, etc. And Elijah is beating the chariot of Ahab to go where? To the Jezreel, which is across the valley over there. That's where we're heading, right over there. And Megiddo is there as well. Megiddo, because Megiddo is in the heart of the Jezreel Valley. Are you with me? Yes. Jezreel Valley. I still owe you one thing. Where is the brook Kishon, not Kidron? Kidron is Jerusalem. Kishon is here. Let me show you the brook. I'm in a good mood, so I can show you. Doesn't happen to me every day. Now, you see the main road? You can't miss the main road, correct? Are you with me? Yes. Do you see there is a bridge right there? A bridge. It's a bridge of a train, by the way. Between the main road to the bridge, do you see water? That's the brook Kishon. People, are you with me?
Yes.
People, do you see what I see?
Yes.
Come. There is a road and there is the bridge. Between the road to the bridge, you see some water? That's the Kishon brook, or sort of river, is taking the water all the way and emptying somewhere there. It goes through the valley of Jezreel. In the Hebrew, Israel. And the meaning of the word Israel, God put a seed in the soil. So it will be fertile. And indeed, that's one of the most fertile valley in the whole country. No wonder. By the way, are you still with me? Yes. Are you tired? No. You're hungry? No. You are tired and hungry? No. You're hungry and tired? No. Doesn't matter. Okay. Do you see something in a V shape? V shape? That is an Air Force base right there. Air Force. Are you with me, people?
Yeah.
Air Force base. Air Force base. You see you hear the plane?
Yeah.
Do you see V shape? That's Air Force base. The top of the hill, which you can't see, is Nazareth.
Oh, okay.
The top of, look at me, people, look at me. The top of the hill at the distance, Nazareth. God willing, I'll be in a good mood. I'll take you also to Nazareth today. If I'll be in a good mood, I need to be in a good mood. Okay? Everything is okay? We understand where we are? I do want to ask you a question. What is the very first thing Elijah did before he even started to do the miracle? Now. People, what happened to the people of Israel? Their faith was broken. He's going to demonstrate for them what happened to them. And you demonstrate by a physical action. What did he do? He was fixing the old altar that was broken. What is he telling them? I came to restore your faith because your faith is broken. And you know why? Because you can't make up your mind. You want to go to the disco, guys? Or you want to go to our God? Because only God can be a provider. False God can never provide. Only the true God will provide.
Amen.
But if you will follow the true God, everything will be on time like the promise of God. But if you are, look at me, if you are, exactly, it won't happen. You have to follow the real God. When you follow Him, He and only He can be a provider. Thank you.
All right,
So at the top of that hill, way out there, is Nazareth. And the sun is in my face, so I really can't see very well. I hope that's centered in my camera. We are at the Mount Carmel Monastery, which has an unbelievable view of this valley. And Megiddo is out that direction out there. We're going to be there later today.
Yeah, I can totally imagine that, right?
But what an unbelievable view from up here. Try to look down a little bit here. You can see the animals down here. Sheep and goats.
Does that work?
Major highway down there.
Boy, I bet you love that gadget.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
he does.
this thing just. I can't wait to sit and watch these on the big screen.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You can show these on the screen at church too if you want. You know, once I get them edited up a
I've
bit.
got quite a few too. I bet you I don't have as much as you, but I got a lot.
Between my still.
All right, I'm headed down out of this place, but look at this staircase. Boy, this is a kind of a freaky view as you're walking down the steps. Darn thing. Stay with me there, camera. Okay, there we go. But that literally looks right down over that edge. And that's a long drop down.
Florida area, or the Carolinas and Florida, I guess. They look like a fern, they look like a pine tree, they look like a palm tree.
This is the inside of the chapel here.